Okay, cool. Yay! Awesome. Okay. So if you see me looking up here, I have my notes from our discussions. Alrighty. So I guess how do we start off here? Well, this is part 2. Sorry it took a while, guys. I obviously have a chronic condition, and it took a while for me to get set up for the next one. I didn't post the edits from last time.
Same here. We both were in the same boat on that one.
Yeah, totally. Let me get it. So we decided to do Sunday, and then I was trying to figure out if we do like every first Sunday of the month at least, like hopefully do more. We'll get like a routine of people knowing like, oh, first Sunday of the month is Talkin With Tarik. We can jump in, or every Sunday would be awesome, but we got other stuff to do too. But anyways, we had other stuff we're going to talk about, and then obviously everything going on kind of shifted, and I reached out to Tarik when I saw on his Instagram, which I want to post and didn't get a chance to post it, his video about his experience with, everything going on with police brutality and this whole discussion. So I'm going to kind of take more of a backseat this time and ask more questions to Tarik, because he's also, as you've seen, an activist and has done a lot to help others. And I think that this is something
thank you.
Yeah, totally. And I think this is something that you can help other people understand better than me, obviously. So do you want to take the wheel, or how do you want to start out?
Well, basically, just you can ask like any question, and I can expand on it, and then you kind of riff with that. But
Okay. Well, I guess like how does it relate to why we're doing the podcast in general? Like
the timing is really interesting because initially, Emily, I know that with the podcast, you wanted to kind of focus on issues that really affect a lot of people, predominantly that are going through an obstacle and come out somehow to the other side changed, and most cases the better. And so in terms of struggle and perseverance on an individual level, that definitely fits the criteria. This is on a much larger scale, but it still fits that criteria because this is a struggle that affects like an entire race and races and people of multiple like subcultures. So the niche cultures that aren't in the mainstream but are singled out and going on a certain persecution for just being different.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm not at all able to understand it, obviously, because I can't understand at all. And I realized, which I didn't realize until you posted your experience, and it really hit me hard. And I was like, wow, like it's kind of being hypocritical.
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
No, that's the thing. Like a lot of people don't even realize that people right next to them, people that know for years, have had that experience or something similar to that, And so after I really didn't feel it until like the moment I was recording that video. I felt bad because I should have said something sooner. It's like it didn't dawn on me that that sharing my experience can actually help people understand. I guess it's partly when I looked into okay, this like blew my mind, right? This blew my mind. So in terms of, I know that being a Black person, we're in a minority in terms of population, but I didn't realize it's like 13.4% of the U.S. population. I was like 13.4, not even a quarter of a percent. Look it up. It's 13.4, 13.4. And
as a racial, is what I'm doing right now in the background.
We've been here for like over 300, 400 years or so, and only 13.4%. So we look into that. There's also like a New York Times publication says like 1.5 million African Americans missing. And that article talks about this supposed mystery of like this random occurrences of Black people just missing, right? And so a lot of that is from being persecuted. You see it, right? 13.4.
I'm gonna try to share it so people can jump in and see that if they want. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna just post it on
Oh,
the Facebook one.
sorry, my hair is like eating my face. Sorry, 1 second. It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, the impact is huge. So a lot of people, I mean, understandably, that are not African descent, or that don't look like, you know, a darker skin tone, or don't look different. That just don't understand that sort of persecution and being like sort of profiled for just looking different,
Yeah.
you know, and that don't understand that experience. It's like it brings into the realm of us as a culture to try to educate those that just don't understand, because how can they know if they haven't experienced it? So if we as Black people are 13.4% of the population, and the whole rest of America are not Black, and for the most part are much lighter in skin tone, or sort of lumped into the category of Caucasian, don't have this experience, they won't know that this is happening unless people speak out about it. Now with the tragedy of George Floyd, it is a huge tragedy, and it's sad. It's sad already, but this, to make it even more sad, on top of that, compiled, is that it happened so much. Is that was they had so many witnesses, and some had, you know, recorded it, so there was definitely uh, televised, and that way people knew about it. But there's so many cases that are unknown or secret, like sort of as clandestine events, you know, that people just don't know even exist. So, and that's kind of what that article was talking about. It's like, you know, like there's tons of names of people that just disappear, no trace, you know. So that's what all the anger and frustration and feeling silent is coming from, you know.
Yeah. Exactly. That's like unbelievable. Like, oh my gosh. I just want to make sure we cover everything here. I actually, honestly, I saw my friend Maria jumped in, and she's actually in Egypt right now. And I'm curious what it's like for her out there and her friends and stuff.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I just glance and I'm like, oh my gosh, Maria, and she's, you know, like other countries and stuff too. Like, I think that's the other thing too I wanted to ask you about, like it's like you were saying, like it's not just America, it's like everywhere. Like this is happening and everybody coming together about it. And I can't say how that phrasing's wrong. Like what I mean to say is, like, I don't know like how I would feel if this was me, and this has been going on for like 400 years, and now all of a sudden everybody's finally saying something that they should have been.
And that's the thing. It's actually, there, like with the thing with Rodney King, I know that happening. Like, there's been tons of big span cases of this happening, and people talking about it, which is good if people are talking about it. But I think what's different now is that social media is so big. To be honest, I think social media is so large.
That's a really good point. So that's a really good point. Yeah.
And information travel was so much faster. For in the previous years, like information would hit, this would happen like 10 years ago or 15 years ago. It would take like a week for people to know it even happened. Versus happened, it was like everywhere. You know, like John Boyega is in the UK. You know, the actor John Boyega. Star Wars.
Oh my God! Yes. What the heck? Yes. I'm terrible with names.
No, everyone knows him in Star Wars. I mean, he's been acting a long time, but that's where he really went big. But he got, you know, he's a very passionate person, and when this hit him, of course, he's directly connected to this. And in the UK, this happens too. It happens everywhere, you know. And so he's at protests in the UK, and if you look it up, there's tons of videos of him having speeches and a protest talking about it. And so, yeah, this is affecting everybody. Like, you could be rich, poor, middle class, you know, so long as you're educated, non-educated, as long as you have darker skin tone, it affects you, you know. And then for people that are of different races, I think it affects them too. Just the fact that this reality is real, you know. So, and my Instagram, under my video, like you mentioned earlier, as a great friend of mine, Tracy, goes like, you know, what can I do as an ally to educate myself? I was like, this is what you're doing now, like watching videos of people sharing their experiences, just having an ear and taking time out your day to to acknowledge this reality, it's like the step. That's the thing, just knowing that it happens. And then from that, it actually affects your actions. Because
Yeah, that's true.
once you walk into a situation, having that knowledge in the back of your head, your actions are different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I mean, I got it. I want to, when you mentioned the Instagram thing, I want to get everybody to see it. I just sent the link to his Instagram, so if you guys want to jump on there later and see it, it's really powerful. Like, I mean, it's really like, I mean, it's true. It's like you can't. I don't know how do I want to phrase it. It's like, even like, you know, when I talk about porphyria stuff, and it's not at all the same. Like, you know, when we say that, like, you know, when we talk about our medical disabilities, it's stuff like not on the same level at all. Like, it's a totally different thing that I can't understand. And that's why, you know, we did this whole thing, is because I wanted somebody to speak on it that I can't speak about it, and it upsets me, and not even close to how I'm sure it upsets you, you know? It's different. But the other thing that I think that we wanted to touch on is the whole COVID thing, and how and I don't think people realize about the medical system here, and how many Black people, like you like I was reading, I mentioned to you, like I didn't even realize like that just medical care alone for this situation and in general, like it's, you know, it's different.
It's not only different, it's approached differently. Like you know, I do have a high pain tolerance, but you wouldn't know that from looking at me.
Right.
I don't think. I don't know.
No,
But
I wouldn't know.
there was like a study, and they found that African Americans in hospitals, whenever they're being treated for pain, a lot of times don't get, you know, any pain medicine.
Wow.
Where someone the majority population of a Caucasian European descent would get that pain medication, you know, without even asking for it. You know,
wow.
So it is weird. You know, it's like, I guess, like, oh, they're Black, they can take it. You know, I'm like, well,
yeah, like
that's kind of weird.
yeah,
like what?
Like a what? Like,
I don't know what's going on there. You know? So I think a lot of these things are happening on a subconscious level, because just how, like, you know, social media is a big deal, movies, shows, TV. There was like someone that reporter that was in Korea, and asking a lot of nice people on the streets walking by, like, you know, hey, you know, what do you think about uh, this actor or so and so or whatever, you know, what do you think about, you know, Black people in general from America, specifically America, you know, and they go like, well, you know, in movies someone's like, we're movies, we just see them as being like gangsters, you know, and so in leading roles there are some exceptions, like Denzel Washington, Icon, you know, like I mentioned, John Boyega, like, you know, he's definitely showing the pathway for a lot of actors. But generally speaking, that is kind of true. Same thing for a lot of Hispanics. You know, a lot of times you see Hispanics or people of Latin descent, like 80% of the time they're shown as being some type of, like, you know, gangster or thug and stuff like that. And like, so in terms of how it's perceived subconsciously, even though people sometimes don't go out their way to be openly racist or anything, they just are by just like default, you know, like to some degree, like, you know, unless they work on it. So if someone like is conscious of this environment, of what's happening in media, and they know people of different races, and they take their time to say, hey, you know, I know someone that's cool, and they're different races, so this isn't reality that I'm being shown on TV. But if someone is in a sheltered environment, like in Korea, for example, or some other like predominantly one race environment where it's like hardly any Black people anywhere, all they know is like what they see on TV, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of scary, you know?
Yeah, there's a show I was watching. I can't remember the name of the show, but there's a girl, and she said that she went to, I don't remember the country, but she said that she went there, and everybody thought she was Beyonce, and they put up her picture in the restaurant. They thought that they met Beyonce because she was a Black woman.
Did she look anything like her?
Kind of. Like, I mean, she was tall. She had, like, you know, like the curly hair that she has, like, you know, when she wears like the different styles. So she looked like kind of like Beyonce, but no. Like, no. Like, honestly, no.
Wow. That's
And
pretty
I was
weird.
just like, oh my God, like, and I thought like it popped in my head because it's like the media, like you're saying, like gives people like sometimes like these, like if they aren't around day to day, other people other than themselves, like they have no idea and they don't even realize they're being racist. I think that
It's true.
like what you're saying, like that's a key point.
But and I had to step outside myself to really think about. I mean, all my life I've basically known this, but when we being put together and you cook it down to its, like crude ingredients, African American descent, it's slightly higher if people of mixed, like if you
Okay.
have like remixed or something,
Mhm.
but it's only I think it's like 15% or something
Wow.
like that,
Holy crap.
but in terms of basically African descent, it's like 13.4, sometimes say 13.9, 13.4, and so you have that right there, so a small minority, right? And then you have the media cascading over that, of having a very skewed viewpoint,
Right.
some exceptions, but overall a very skewed viewpoint. And then you have that being America is a younger country, you know?
Yeah.
So I think racism still exists other places, you know, um, for people of African descent, but I think it's worse in America, in terms of that. Except for, of course, South Africa. That's really bad in South Africa,
God, well, it's like a
Yeah,
whole other.
that's
God.
another level right there,
Yeah.
Uh, but but it still happens here too. It's just that it's like there's more finesse about it in America. It's not as blatantly open about it.
I think also me being like a white girl, even though the work with disability, like even me, like I was talking to somebody the other day and they're like, oh, well, you understand that you have differences. And I'm like, no, like this is a totally different thing, but old me, like I would sometimes be like, oh, well, I'm different. I get it. And it's like, no, I don't get it. Like,
Well, you definitely get something. You definitely get
yeah,
a
any point.
certain part of the spectrum. I think, like, cause myself being differently able, having autoimmune disorder, having physical limitations, and we both share some similarities in that sometimes. And
Yeah,
so I think that unites us in that sense. Of course, you being a woman too, women are constantly prejudged
yeah,
all the time, constantly. And even though you're normally the majority of the population in terms of male, normally females are or I don't know if it's like, well, I guess it depends what city you're in, but generally speaking, there's more women to men ratio, and
right.
yet treat it like you're lesser than a lot of times. It's, and you have to fight for everything. So, and in that sense, I think you understand to that, but it's not, of course, as bad, as someone like myself. But you definitely, or maybe in some cases it is actually. And it depends where you're at, like where
Yeah.
you're at the time. But for the grand scheme of things, it is worse for a black person. You had to worry about driving. You can go anywhere. Like you're watching Patriot Act on Netflix.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's a good show, and he just posted something on there, and he had like a collage of all the different African Americans that were killed for whatever reason, right? For being
Uh,
black, basically.
yeah.
And he goes, "What does this one kill for? Standing in his garage drinking a soda, sleeping, um, buying something at a store." It was like all these things, like
Yeah.
uh,
It's
there's
like,
no reason for that to happen.
it's like I think also like when I watched your video, I mean you could talk about it too. Like I was gonna say if you want to
Okay.
give a synopsis of it. I mean everybody doesn't if they haven't seen it yet, but like when I watched it, I watched several times. Like it literally made me cry because I was like, wow, I'm so freaking ignorant. Like I'm not getting this, and
Wow.
it really did get me. Like it just completely shifted. I mean, I've always been like a caring person and wanting to understand, but like it shifted it to me to be like on a higher level of like, okay, like I need to not be afraid to ask, and I think a lot of people are afraid to ask and just say like what, like just asking the hard questions. Like you were saying, like communication is key, and it totally
It is
is.
key.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to share like what happened to you, you can. If
Yeah.
not, we can.
I'm gonna share that. I'm also put the link. I
Yeah.
thought it did. I guess it didn't. Yeah, I'm gonna put the link. Hold on a
Oh yeah,
second.
the video link. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that link real quick.
Okay, I'm gonna check too because I think some people can't see it. Okay, guys, I think we're back. If we are back, someone write a comment so we know. And then we will continue.
Oh, I see it right now.
You do? Okay, good. Okay, I'm gonna refresh my page. I'm looking up when I'm looking at a screen over here. I'm not like ignoring the conversation, guys. I'm like here. Just making sure everything's okay when I'm checking because I didn't realize we weren't live. Okay, it's happening now. Awesome. Okay. Click to expand, share it, and
Oops, I didn't turn the volume of my computer. Sorry about that.
it's all right. I'm gonna
It's
share
weird
it.
to hear yourself.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah.
I think because we, like you said, Emily, like we had it. Well, it was cool having it on Facebook and YouTube. I guess it was just too much information for them to process.
Yeah, I think it was way too much. It just like went crazy. I posted it through my Emily Carmen page. There we go.
Hey, Mary, I see my friend Mary just joined.
Oh, yay, cool.
Bonjour, nah?
Hey, guys. Okay. So I guess let's back up because we got cut off for security stuff.
Yeah, I think where we were at last time. Oh yeah, I was trying to actually. Hold on.
Yeah,
I was trying to put that
video.
link to the actual video of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Of me talking about my experience.
Yes. Okay. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's get in. Go ahead. Sorry.
So what we're trying to basically talk about last time, like you asked me about my experience in the video, and my experience basically was, I'm basically it wasn't now because I can't physically work right now and drive around and stuff. But years ago, when I was working in a call center, I was like a manager at a call center. And everybody can watch the video too. But basically, what happened was I was saving for a car, and I lived a little further away from home. So my friend drives me from work to home, which is really cool. And then at nighttime, I'm going to where I live, so I'm all relaxed. Like you're not thinking where you live, something's gonna happen, but a car pulls right in front of us. Like we're going straight, and the light is like to go left. It's on a lane to the left of us. You had to go 2 lanes over just to take a left, and to lanes to the right of us, somebody just cuts right in front of us, which is super illegal and dangerous. They cut in front of us. We had to stop the car because you can't, go through a car and cause an accident. So we stall. We stop for a second, and then miss the light. It turns red as we're crossing.
Oh my god!
And then the cops see us. They pull us to this. I guess it was Smoothie King back then. This is Montrose Westheimer intersection.
Oh.
Yeah, and we stopped the car. I'm not driving. Remember, I'm a passenger.
Yeah, this is what was crazy too.
Yeah, that's what's really messed up. I wasn't the person driving, and I'm my hair's in a ponytail. I'm wearing an expensive suit as a manager. To me, presentation is important, especially. And before I get back in this, especially in the African American communities, not in every demographic, but within demographics of like say people going to church or people going to work or something like that. In any professional environment, especially with our mothers strongly enforce, having an immaculate presentation because we have so many obstacles thrown at us every day that you don't want to help the situation, help the antagonist or whatever. So we basically try to make it easier on ourselves as much as possible by having a good presentation, looking professional. So as a manager, it was important to me. I had like 15, 20 people that was managing every day. So I was like, wow, I want to make sure I look professional. You have a sense of healthy pride. It's not overly prideful, but it's like, hey, I achieved something.
Right.
I achieved something. I'm getting paid more than I've ever been paid in my entire life, right? At that time, right? And I felt a sense of pride, like I'm doing something in my life. And then so my friends trying to drop me off at home. Cop pulls us over, like I said, and they go around the car to my side. Tap hard on the window, like open your door. I'm like, I'm not gonna resist, because any resist at all, a cop would say he resisted, they'll throw you on the floor and do whatever to you. So I unlock the door and I'm like, oh God, and they pull the door open super fast, grab my arm, and the guy gets like looks me in the eye like that, like looks at me like this, this like cockeyed, crazy look. And
Yeah.
there's two cops, the other cop is standing there watching him, right? And then they get like a call saying, emergency so and so in code, whatever that code is, and it's like, 2 blocks away. So they get excited about some action. It looks like they were looking
Right.
for some fun or something. So the guy goes like,
Oh my
"You're
God.
lucky," and
He
he
said,
pushed.
Jesus. Like he gave you that, yeah, like that look. My God.
He's like, "Oh, you're lucky," Like he pushes my arm away like that, and he closes, slams the door, and they take off. And we're like, "What the hell?" Uh, let's get the hell out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh
Like,
my God.
so that I was lucky. So and what the thing that happened was George Floyd. He died. It's far worse what he went through, but that happened to me. Um, and there's a lot of experiences. There's a lot of experiences. Like, uh, back when I was in high school, like, and you're trying to date somebody or something like that. The parents of the person trying to date, there's
Mm.
a lot of girls that couldn't even date in high school because I wasn't the same race. And I'm in an environment where it's like just not I'm not trying to censor myself, or limit myself. If someone's a good person, I
Right.
don't see their color. I think they're a good person. So, you know, and that's one thing I will say. Uh, uh, Growing up, I didn't have my life wasn't perfect growing up, but I was blessed to have a good mother.
Hmm.
You know, uh, Sometimes my dad was cool. He had his good moments, but he had his questionable ones too. And so I looked more to my mother for guidance. Later on, my father got much better, and he was a better role model. But at the time, my role model was like my mother,
Yeah.
and what not to be when I looked at mistakes of other people. So seeing feeling this moment in my life, I'm achieving something, and this for a cop to see, like, you can do whatever you want, but I'm gonna put you in your place, and that's what it felt like.
God.
You know,
Yeah. I can't even on any level think of that because I was thinking about it and I'm like, okay, like there's been times where like I'm driving and a cop might pull me over, like lights go off. And just as a girl, it's like, okay, I'm gonna not pull over like on a abandoned road. I'm gonna pull into like a garage, like a gas station. But it's not the same. Like it's different. It's like I don't walk out of my house and think anything. Like, oh gee, I wonder if I'm gonna like have an issue with a cop today and actually even never come home again. Like that's.
yeah. Actually,
I,
I want to talk about something. So it's not. I mean, for definitely African Americans, it's tougher, but for anyone that's different, it's tough, right? So a friend of
yeah,
mine, uh, I guess I shouldn't say his name. I don't know if that upsets family or not, but
a
and
friend.
Lamar High School, a friend of mine was killed by the cops, but he wasn't black. He was white, but he was
What?
like alternative,
Okay.
like sort of punk, different color hair, real skinny, a punk rocker.
Yeah.
And they just said he was handcuffed. He died while he was handcuffed, face down.
Jesus.
So, and he was in a good neighborhood. So
So that yeah. So see, like then like I don't know. Like I don't. I'm just like speechless by this. I'm just like I can't. But that's a good point too. It's like how appearance, but it's like looking at somebody and being like, oh, like they might be more of a problem than somebody else. Even with teaching, like I was listening to something the other day, and they were discussing about education and how with this learning disabilities and stuff that teachers like in a statistic they did like automatically think that a black student's going to have more learning disabilities than the white student.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
And
like it's not like that's the thing. That's what's scary about it. It's like it's not on purpose racism. To my understanding, is subconsciously because it's so woven. It's a tapestry of everyday life that people don't even second guess it.
yeah,
It's just like what they think. Like, oh, that's what it is. That's reality. It's like, no, it's not reality. That's what it's been gradually like fed to them as they're growing up. When we're children,
hmm.
you don't think this stuff. You're a
Yeah,
little baby, you're a little toddler.
yeah,
You see a kid, you say, "Hey, brother, sister."
mm-hmm.
Different family, but you're my brother.
Yeah,
And it's beautiful. And then we're born pure, and then the world's bad habits start like pouring into people. So when stuff like this happens, in terms of like little things, I don't get too upset with someone because I don't know they what they're going through. They just don't understand. Maybe in
Yeah.
time, and my actions might help them understand something. My little bit of an action, but stuff like major things like deaths from racism and being profiled like that. That's when it's like, oh no, that's way too far. I shouldn't even
Yeah.
come close to that. For a cop to try to pull me out the car, he was a second. I mean, he just pulled that door open so quick, grabbed my arm. He literally was like in mid swing, and then the code comes in his walkie-talkie.
Right. Yeah. Like
Code
that.
showing something, and he's like, "Oh, that sounds exciting. You're lucky." And he takes off and shit. But anyway, so I guess the main thing is that's what I talked about earlier with you. Remember, it was like the cause,
Oh, yeah.
reality,
Mm-hmm.
and then ways to help create change and help
Yeah.
deal with this problem. So
Yeah, let's get in that.
I think the cause is like what I talked about earlier. Like we're African Americans are a small part of the population, and so the reality to us is different to everybody else. So
Right.
in terms of the cause, it's like not knowing. It's like it's just helping that problem stay even bigger. For the lack of the ignorance spreads like fire. Because people just don't know. And it's not your fault. They just don't know. Now true racism, they're rooted at like true hatred. I saw this movie, and it was a fictional movie, right?
Mm.
And it was like a Cambodia, and these farmers were Cambodian. They're trying to grow rice crops,
Okay.
and then it was supposed to be like a long time ago, and British settlers were pouring in there, and some of them had military backing, and they wanted to grow poppy seeds, for
Okay.
opium, and then they're like, we want you to grow opium fields or something. And they were like, well, no, we want to grow rice crops. And so the ones that refused were killed, burnt, and like strung up on trees, like in the movie. But it is based on
But
some influential things that have happened in real life. But it's a fictional movie based on some things that have happened. And in the movie, there's a young guy he's like 20. He's talking to his older brother, which is like 27, 25. He goes, what is that stench? He goes, like, what is that smell? And with the bodies. And he goes, so that's the smell of hatred. And
wow.
that was important. That
That
stuck in my mind, the smell of hatred, and like hatred has a smell. Emotions and pheromones have a smell. Like I think as people, we're not trained for that, but animals can tell. Like if you ever have a dog or a cat and they can like walk past somebody and tell if they're good or not, that's a real thing, because the people give off energy and also a certain scent, and hatred has a scent, but what that's a tangent. But anyways, what I was trying to say was, I was like,
I
what
know
was I
what you're
trying to say?
saying. Yeah. It's important. Yeah.
What I was trying to say is that so like true hatred is taught by the parents or from neighbors or from friends, and it's not corrected, and it just grows and sort of like becomes putrid and has that stench of hatred over the years. It develops. It becomes toxic.
Right.
So in terms of the cause of that, I think it's like people in a sheltered environment. Something bad might have happened in our environment, and it comes like a habit. If they don't know why they hate someone, they just do it because their parents hate that person. And you see that in other countries, some people are the same race, but maybe from the different parts of a tribe or something, and they hate each other because their parents hate that person. They don't even know why they hate it. They want the Tutsis, the Watutsis, or something like that in Africa.
Okay.
Wakanda.
Mm-hmm.
But what you call it? So in terms of solutions, social media is a good thing. That's one way to get to worry about it. Legislation is another thing. That's when you get to the deep heart of like infrastructure, the police force, infrastructure of jobs. And so the whole thing when it says that defund police, what that is like that hashtag defund police. That's about basically taking some of the funds to the police force and putting it back into education, putting it back into housing, putting in situations that, in terms of crime, you want to fight crime and make people happy. I mean, you definitely should have police. I'm not saying don't have any police, and that'd
No,
be
I get what you're
ridiculous.
saying. Yeah.
But in terms of being lopsided, some things take a precedence over something else. Like, if someone has education, and someone has housing, and someone has all these things, then that's like less crime or something. It's less need for so many police, or the police that are there, maybe some police should be more educated themselves in terms of education. Put education and training the police, behavioral studies. Like, what do you think? Like having a psychiatrist screen some cops sometime or something.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. No, like,
You know what I'm
this is
saying?
like so important. Like, I'm so glad you're like, bringing this all up, because it's.
My wife said that. She's like, my wife goes like, why don't they have like behavioral studies tests? It's like, well, they have actual questionnaires, but don't have like actual, to my knowledge, don't have an actual like psychologist screen someone. Like, say like there's like someone that comes into the military, right? They're a good soldier. They're conditioned for high stressful environments,
Right.
and they go into a workforce or something like that, that's normal, but say someone is going to a police force, like, they now they're getting a person a gun. It's like, well, you need to be able to have a psychic valve,
Yeah.
periodically, not just one time. They should do it like
Right.
at least every 6 months, every 3 months, or every something,
Yeah.
or if there's an event that happened that was stressful, they get evaluated,
Yeah.
Just to make sure they're not gonna like flip out on somebody,
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's, it's something that people, I think with men too, and I'm a girl talking about this, but I just noticed, like, with therapy and stuff in general, like, it's kind of a non-masculine thing, sometimes, maybe. I don't know. I'm not
to be evaluated or see a psychiatrist.
Just see a psychiatrist or something in general. Like, I've noticed that just from personal experience with people, like, that they feel sometimes, like my guy friends, not all of them, but some of them, like, like, they'll be like, oh, I don't need a therapist. I don't need to talk to somebody. I'm fine. And it's like we were just saying, it just kind of made me think of that. Like,
Man,
even when they think they're fine, it's like a toughness. Like, they can't,
it's so weird you're saying all this stuff. That is this movie I saw, they talked about that. The one I just mentioned. What's the name of that movie now? I gotta say, because the guy was talking about being a man. It's like, and the woman goes, "You have it easy. You're a guy." He goes, "Well, I am a guy, but we're taught not to cry, not to have emotions. to be tough, to provide all this stuff.
Yeah.
To have all this pressure on us.
Mm-hmm.
And where did what's the name of that movie?
I know.
I'm gonna find it.
When I edit, I'll put it in and be like, bubble, like, this is what we're talking about. This movie. I can do that later.
That's so weird.
I know, right? Oh, you made me think of something else too I wanted to ask you. Media, that, schools, the police stuff. I mean, there's two sides, people feel like, I was reading about it in a book. It's called So You Want to Talk About Race. And they mention how, like, with police and stuff, and when you're talking about the funding, like, I think that's like an important thing that a lot of people don't really realize. Like,
yeah, that's really important.
Yeah, like that whole aspect of it, that if we put funds where they really should be, that maybe this could, not overnight, but even generation to generation, start to change. And I think that's like,
yeah, that's the thing. It's like, it's like in terms of life cycles, in terms of cycles, you look at animals and their evolution. Animals have evolved in such a way in general so quickly because their life cycles are shorter. And humans, we have the advantage of having long lives compared to the average animal, unless you're talking about turtles or something like that,
or parrots.
or parrots, so we learn a lot slower than animals. In terms of, I think in terms of technology, we learn a lot faster, but in terms of social interactions with other people, I think we're much slower than animals. So I think in terms of speeding up that process, it's all about redundancy. In terms, like, for advertising, for example, like say you're trying to sell a product, you have a product, you're trying to get it across to people, and you send out one email or one post, no one cares, no one's going to see that, or if they see it, they don't know what that means, and you're like, I'll get back to it later, and they forget about it. And but now these say that you put out like 5 commercials or something like that, or you start, having people do word of mouth, giving incentives, you start putting energy into it because it's important to you, right?
Yeah.
And it's a product, you make money off it. That's how you feed your family. You make money off of it. And so you put money back into it, you push it, right?
Yeah.
And so you have an incentive to do that, and so people start buying your product, becomes a name brand. Oh, this is my favorite Heinz ketchup. Why? Because everybody likes it. Why? Because people put money into it in advertising. So it's all about caring about something and putting energy into it. So educating people about the reality of racism, of inequalities, uh, not just racism, but anybody, like whether transgender, a different sexuality, um, body shaming people, or overweight, they're being body shamed, stuff like that. People that maybe they're not the most athletic, and they're outcasts because they're considered nerdy to their to people around. And then they're in a city or town that's like driven by sports, and so sports driven. The funding is going to sports athletes, which is okay. Is going to, but it should be more things should be more balanced. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So education should be funded better, and education in terms of reality about racism and inequality for others. There should be advertising commercials about that. It might not be a product. Maybe it's coming from funding from a foundation, but that foundation is getting funded from higher up or something.
Yeah.
And then you're seeing this happen throughout in between commercials. You're being reminded, blah 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 blah. It's done in a way that's very sophisticated, that's very real,
Yeah.
and that becomes more accepted. But if no one talks about it because it doesn't make them money, then change doesn't happen.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. It's a lot.
You know what I'm saying? Like people, it comes down to the dollar bills. Like, I want to make this happen for you guys, but it doesn't make me money, so I'll get back to you later. And nothing happened. But now, so I think maybe there will be something from this. Like, so I'm encouraging people. Like I made my video.
Right.
Like social media influencers, we have an advantage because we're not like a big corporation, but I have like 100 followers on Instagram now, 100,000 100,000 followers. I was like, what? So I'm in other influencers. If you're watching, and had experience, or if you don't have an experience, but you want to just voice the fact that you're glad that people are speaking up about this, and that you're sorry you didn't know, something, but those that definitely had your experience, talk about your experience to see the reality of this.
Yeah, I think that's something like, as somebody that's not Black wants to ask. I know a lot of people probably think this, like how, like when you share it and stuff, like people get afraid, like even me, like I haven't really posted and I want to, and I get upset about it. It's like, how do we share it with that? Like, how do you handle, like, if someone's going to take it the wrong way? Like, with me, I've been writing you like, oh my God, I don't want to offend anybody. And like, how do you approach it in like that way that, people...
Oops, dropped something.
That's okay.
I think that's the thing, that it's coming, like it's like some people think it's a double-edged sword, damn you don't, damn if you do, or something, but it's not true. It's like, just try it. Even if you mess up, it's worth it. Just jump out there, just talk to someone that you're close to that's Black, or anybody, or watch videos or something like that. Just go out there and try, like maybe not, go to a crowd of people or something. And hey, I was wondering, but just like a little bit, like, that's the thing, like take notice of it and listen. The thing about it is education and sources, like what are trusted sources?
Yeah.
So like New York Times, like major publications, New York Times, Time Magazine, your local newspaper, things like that. Like in terms of like reputable like references for things like that and searches. Because if we just go online, you Google indiscriminately, you're gonna get some that's so credible sources about things, and it can really skew your perspective. So people that are using online because it's easy accessible on your phones, we all use our phones all the time. Where's my hand? Over here. We all use our phones all the time.
Yeah.
And so like talking to people that you have a sense of trust with, you build a rapport with somebody. And if you're in an environment where there's just no Black people around, which is extremely common, since we're only 13.4% of the population.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, I didn't even realize you
like,
told me that. Damn.
And a lot of people of African descent stay within the middle of town, or sometimes they're in the suburbs. But generally speaking, it's like either one part of town or in the center of town. So, generally speaking, the suburbs are like predominantly white environments. So you're not going to see a lot of Black people around them. So sometimes travel, go in town and go to watch a show, go to a concert, mingle with some people, hang out with them, have a drink with someone, Oh, that reminds me, I need to look this up. You
What?
see, back when Obama was our president,
Uh-huh.
back then he had a drink with someone, and he invited a civilian to the White House, just a normal guy, because this particular guy, he was actually half black. This guy was half black himself, just like Obama is.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
but his skin tone, he obviously has, like, he's not like 100% looking white. He looks like he's mixed, or he's black or something, right?
Right.
So he's extremely rich, highly successful guy, right? He's at his front door, going into his home, and the cops pull him up, throw him to the ground, and arrest him. You're breaking into your house. You're breaking into your house. Like, this is my house.
Oh,
Where's your ID? My ID is inside my house. He's like,
wow.
what? And they arrest him.
Shit.
And
Yeah.
he gets a busted lip in his face, everything. And so the president found out about this. He goes, man, I can't condone this. It's horrible. And he invites him to have a drink to the White House. We're gonna find this. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll look at it too. I want to like add it on there. That's insane. Like, I can't even. God, and that's not even. That's the thing is, like, that's not even like the first time that's happened. That has to have happened like many times. Like, I'm sure he's not the first guy. That has gone to his house. It's black or mixed race that goes in and they do that. Like, I'm sure that's not the first time. I'm just putting in Barack Obama.
I'm trying to find it.
I can post whatever. So I guess, like,
later in the comments. I don't know why I can't find it.
Yeah, it's okay. I can add it. You know what I can do too? Like, when I'm editing. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this, and everybody's watching now because it got messed up. That's okay. That the other video that I did, I just didn't put it out now because then I realized, like, we're gonna be talking about this, and I don't want people to think, oh, she's ignoring what's going on. So that's gonna come out. I'm just gonna put like a disclaimer. This was filmed previous, so that people know, like, okay, this was done then. If that's cool, like, I'm gonna put that in there. On the other one, so they just know, like, oh, this was done. She is not putting that episode first over this. Like, this is recorded kind of like when people put like the COVID stuff and they're like, we're near each other because of this was before COVID. So we're talking about that stuff. It was before this situation. Obviously, it's been going on before all this happened. But the point is, like, this is why we kind of switched it around. That makes sense. So yeah, I guess. How you want to? I mean, this is an ongoing thing. Obviously, this isn't something that we're going to just finish discussing. Like, this is.
Oh, I know. This is like
talk about all the time.
Definitely ongoing thing.
Yeah.
But that's the main thing is communication. Like, in terms of chaos, like, like there's an order in chaos. I studied chaos theory, and there's an order of chaos, and true chaos, when you look at a glance, looks like random or chaotic, Yeah. But in actuality, there's a pattern. You just have to have enough time for the pattern to surface.
Okay. That's
so in terms of how that pertains to this situation, the more people talk about it, the more that chaos starts to create like patterns. The more people start seeing the sort of web of consistently predictable events.
Yeah.
So in terms of having to deal with this problem, I think that like what you normally see, I mean, to summarize, like, where it happens, it normally happens inner city, not all the time, but sometimes, or you see inner city, rural areas, inside people's homes. So like inside the home part is really messed up because, like, you're at your home, like, it's
right.
like hard to prevent that from happening. And someone coming to your house and doing something, or you're going outside your front door, Right. But having, I wish technology, because our cell phones are in our pockets, I know there should make something to where the camera on your phone's like in the Bluetooth, or maybe it's like, maybe it should become like a fashionable thing. Like, have like, oh, what they should do? They have like iPhone watches. It should be,
That's what I was thinking,
there should be like a knockoff version that's really cheap and inexpensive that has like a camera on there. The second a cop starts doing something fishy, it's like voice activated. It's like, you type in a word that sounds interesting. Right. You're like, oh, hot dogs are interesting, aren't they? and it's like,
Hippopotamus.
or something, or you press a button or something. Yeah, you press a button and you're recording this happening. A phone,
That way, yeah.
a camera on your watch, or something. Because if it can record it and it happens, and like it goes like a default, it's like to your Facebook or YouTube.
Right.
Like it's a default setting. It's like in case of police officer uh, arrested you for just being black, or for
Right.
being being homeless. Sometimes homeless people get arrested. For being like a Middle Eastern descent.
Right.
For being like arrested for no reason. Press that thing on your phone or on your watch and it happens or something. Because like there's no way for it to 100% foolproof plan. I think even with legislation, even with people understanding, if someone has the opportunity to manipulate somebody in a position of power, they're going to do it. I think. If something's wrong with them, especially if they're scared because of some type of event happen. I mean, cops have to be scared. They're putting their lives on the line, and they don't know what situation to walk into, and so they're having essentially like your life in their hands with this gun, basically.
Yeah.
But I understand, like cops are in a situation to where their lives are also threatened, but at the same time, there should be like see a gun, like they're reaching for something, don't just shoot them. If they reaching for my wallet, shoot the guy. I'm going. It has to be a gun's in their hand. Like okay, the gun is actually in here. A knife is in their hand. Something. A bat is in their hand.
Well, it's like the woman.
Huh?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just thought of the woman that filmed when her husband got shot, or boyfriend. Remember?
I was thinking that.
Yeah,
I was thinking that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just thought of that.
Yeah, and he told the cop, he was like, I have a license for a gun. It's in the glove compartment or something.
Yeah.
And he didn't have it in his hand. He said it's in the car, and he just told him that way. If he was just trying to be open,
right?
Maybe he shouldn't have said it now in retrospect, because cop got even more crazy on him and stuff like that. But he was trying to do the right thing. He was an older man trying to be responsible.
Yeah.
So that was pretty sad.
Yeah, exactly. And like, and it's getting late. I don't want to keep you too long, but I know like also the thing about education, it's like kids, like you were saying about kids. I think that's something too. It's like if we, even at the age bracket like we're at and stuff, we're at that age bracket, like our friends stuff have kids. It's like if we can start to be more communicative about it and talk about these things with kids, I think it'll also like when they get to that pivotal age of being influenced by outside, it's like I think that's important too, because I see it in cartoons. I see it like now I'm starting to see stuff I didn't see before,
Yeah.
And I think back to
don't watch any Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Oh gosh, don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Oh my god.
It's like
not so much Bugs Bunny himself. Well, I mean sometimes, but the whole time of all the characters around him, like all the people and stuff like that.
Looney Tunes,
Looney Tunes.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. It's like, oh my gosh. I mean, like then I hear people be like, oh, everything can be something.
That's why I can't stand Jar Jar. Not doing that.
Oh,
that movie, anything that Jar Jar touches, I won't watch. No,
yes.
sir.
It's crazy. Like, and then kids don't realize it. But that's a good point too. Gosh, yeah, like we should just do one about Star Wars and like film.
Like I love Star Wars, but
right.
But at the same time, you're like, it's like this. That's the thing. Like if you try to point out every movie and show that's doing something wrong, and that's like making a stereotype of someone in a way that's derogatory or offensive, you pretty much can't watch anything.
Right.
Almost anything for the most part, because it's in there, because like society is so built on it for so long that most people don't know. Nowadays it is getting better, but it still happens. And I think that the big shit has only happened in the past like 2 years, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think so. My opinion, so but I still see it sometimes. I still see it. Like I just turn on Netflix, right? And I like a lot of stuff on Netflix, but they're not perfect either.
Right.
And for women, women empowerment and equality is important, because it's been since humankind has ever existed for women. I mean, and this is something I think we want talk about more if you're okay about it. But on Netflix, I turned on Netflix. The first thing I see is a woman handcuffed like this, and the guy looked over her, trying to look smoldering looking,
Mm-hmm.
and then it says the plot of the movie is a woman is held captive
Oh
and seduced
yeah.
by a male or something. I was like, what? Held captive? It's not like they're like she's his boyfriend and they're doing a role play thing or something. That's totally different,
Right.
She's like held captive and she's being seduced, but I was like, okay, no, 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 no.
That yeah.
I didn't see the movie, so I don't know, but that's what it says in the premise.
Yeah.
So it's either they're misleading what the movie actually is, or they're condoning a woman being taken advantage of and basically raped.
Yeah, it was
So
pretty.
I'm like,
I remember now, yeah, because that was pretty shocking to me too. I was like, "Wait, what?" And then I meant to watch it, but then I was like, "Do I watch it and not watch it?" Like, you get into that too of like, do I
yeah,
watch it and it looks like I'm promoting it, or do I watch it to see what it is so I can inform people about it? Like, then you fall into that, like, like that's another thing. But yeah, Netflix has had a lot of stuff. Like, I watched, of course, I'm sure every person watching this that is trying to, like the show. Have you seen the show Black AF on Netflix?
oh no, I haven't. I know what
You
you're
should
talking about
watch.
though. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I like it because with any show in general, honestly, like any culture and stuff in general, race, everything, I think that it's a cool show because it does. At first you think it's just like a sitcom, but then it's cool because it goes into like what they're talking about, and then it jumps to like the history of this, what they're talking about means blah blah blah, blah, and they
Yeah.
go into that, and I like that because somebody like me that doesn't understand a lot of stuff, it helped me like realize like wow, like I really need to like be more aware, and it helped me do that, and I like that entertainment can do that. But that we're saying before about entertainment is good, but then there's also like the negative, so it's kind of like
And that's one thing I really want to. Here's thank you for that because you reminded me of something, because um, what's her name? She's a daughter of Quincy Jones, and she's
Rashida
half black.
Jones.
Rashida
Hmm.
Jones,
Hmm.
and
She's on the show.
she's on the show, and she's on Park and Rec. She's a cool actress, comedian.
Hmm.
And I saw the previews. I didn't see the show. I saw the previews, and she goes like, what does black means? Like, what is that? She's like, all my life, I don't know if I'm doing it right. She was like, I don't know if I'm doing it
Right.
right.
Yeah.
And like, and I just actually, that's interesting when I talk about media, right? And how like people in Korea and other cities and other countries, um, especially in their sheltered environment, they don't know what being African American or whatever it is, only through media,
Right.
to the lens of a movie or a show or something. Um, Same thing to some degree in the within cultures in America with the African American cultures. We're around other African American people, of course. So we get that, but at the same time, um, so much of it is still being influenced by media. Just how like the horrible viewpoint of what a perfect body is. The
Yeah.
media tries to spoon feed women like
Yeah.
what is supposed to be a perfect body,
Yeah.
get
Like what's
collagen,
beauty? Yeah.
get
Exactly.
collagen, get Botox, get all this stuff, get implants, get dye your hair, all this, you're not good enough. You need to get this new hair color ball that just came out or something. It's like, it's horrible, and it's like every day, 24/7. So the same thing within the black community. That's in terms of it being in common. There's a lot in common in that, and like what is supposed to be ideal.
Right.
Who sets the bar or what is supposed to be ideal for it? So a lot of times in media, it's like being strong. To be a black man, you have to be physically strong. You have to be tough. You have to be up to code with the best slang is.
Right.
That's like all the benchmarks. Okay, you got this is what you need to get. This is what you need to get. So, and that's not when I was growing. When I was raised. This is how I was raised, right? Okay, and I would say both my parents did this. My dad, uh, he worked a second job, and
Uh-huh.
he worked his way to school. He's a doctor.
Sorry.
You know,
Okay.
my mother, she's educated. She understands interior design, cuisine, cultures of cuisine of different cultures, ethnicities. When I was raised, we ate Pakistani food, Indian food, American food, Chinese food, Creole,
That's
Cajun,
awesome.
like all that stuff.
That's cool. That's cool.
I think everything but German and English food.
Wow.
I don't know.
That's cool. Yeah, I just grew up on Italian food mostly. That's
We had
good.
Italian food too, you know, and Italian food's really good.
Yeah.
You know, but basically, all I'm saying with that is that and we were raised around different cultures, educated by different cultures and histories of different countries. You
Right.
know, so I'm raised, and I'm like, I still know I'm black physically, but I'm not thinking about it all the time. You know, I'm thinking
Right.
about the world. You know, and so I think that's the big thing, because it's definitely good to teach kids to be accepting of the cultures, but
Hmm.
to go further and to teach kids about other cultures.
Yeah.
You know, and
That's
that's what thing that should be in schools more. Like, you can't always ask the parents to do that, because the parents are stressed out about bills, they're stressed out about work. They can't see the trees before you know, they're just stressed. You know, and like, you
right.
know, unless you're in the best environment ever, you know, most parents are stressed. You know,
Yeah, they've got other stuff to do too, you know, just to
they,
get food on the table. Like it's
that's true.
not easy.
And I know a lot of parents mean well. You know, I mean, parents should definitely do more, but at the same
Mhm.
time, I understand.
Yeah.
But basically, the only way to really enforce that is to go to the schools early. You know, like funding this goes back to education again, like putting money
Yeah.
back in schools and having at least a curriculum focused on education of other cultures. And I have seen this in schools already, but it's always like one semester once. You know,
Right.
but it means
Yeah.
to be like every semester, every grade, every type of like school. You know, private school, public school. It should be like mandatory to teach kids. You should have a class with them, and they rotate in this class. They're teaching, you know, African studies,
Right.
European studies. They're teaching like for Asia, of all of Asian, you know, what they can do, because Asia is, you know, such a huge, you know, you have like
Yeah.
so many different
Everywhere.
versions of Asia, but
Yeah.
there's at least touch some part of that, you know.
Yeah.
And then I think people have better understanding. The kids will meet somebody and it's like, oh wow, and not just like, I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm just talking too much. Go
No,
ahead.
you're right. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Like we can stream it. If people want to jump in, fine. Like
I have the
it's
sniffles. I keep
fine.
going on the screen with the sniffles. You know,
It's okay.
but you see what I'm saying? Like, you know, like I went to Edgar Allan Poe Elementary, and they taught Spanish um, at Lamar. It was like Spanish and French.
Yeah. Same
Uh,
with me. Yeah.
and that's
It was
like
a public school
something,
too. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's still not quite right, you know. My French teacher is Creole, and ethnicity, like she's American, but you know, she has like mixed heritage,
Hmm.
Louisiana, and she, you know, so speak French. You know, it's
Right.
taught that, you know. And in my family, um, we're originally from Africa, brought to America, as you do, you know. And then like we have French, Native American, Spanish, Irish, uh, mingled into this. This actually, in terms of like that's done on purpose, um, it's mostly African and Native American
Yeah.
in our family. That happened consensually on purpose, you know. Like, and so because within the tribes, of Native American tribes, a lot of them see eye to eye with African people from Africa back then. You know, it's like, oh, you know, you're a culture is struggling to survive. My culture is struggling to survive. I see the beauty in your differences. I see beauty in my differences. You know, so there's some things in common in that. So there's a lot of African Americans mixed with Native America
Right.
in my family. And so that's when you have. That's another thing too. It's like I asked my grandmother on my mother's side, can you tell me the name of the tribe? I mean, give me something. I don't know the name of any African tribe
Right.
from my family. You know, nothing.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know what part of Africa we came from. You know. And she goes, but on the Native American side, maybe there's something there you can tell me. Like, what's the name of our tribe? She goes, oh, she's like, I'm sorry, baby. Um, but they were killed off too fast before I could even learn what that is. I was like, oh,
Oh, damn. My
killed off too
God.
quickly. Okay, well, at
Shit.
least I know that as Native American enemy or something, you know. So,
Yeah.
so a lot of black people suffer to that, like trying to grab onto something. We try to grab onto something, you know, because it's taken away from us, you know. So now that we have this social media, you know, I think that's a lot of people are sharing stories, things of that nature, you know. And to
Mm.
me, I don't live my life thinking like, what am I? I don't define myself by my race, you know. Like, I'm an artist. First and foremost, I'm an artist and I'm an individual, and I like to express myself. That's who I am, you know.
Right.
But every once in a while, I'm like, it'd be nice to know something.
Right. Yeah, like
about
to
where I
know,
come
like,
from, you know.
yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we just kind of did a full circle everything too. Like, we started off talking about social media as like an important platform for everything that's going on. It's like it's good and bad, but I think like your point, I think like to summarize a lot of it is that like this kind of exploded now too because we have social media and everybody can see what's going on. And it,
Yeah.
Whereas like in the 90s when we were kids, like in the late 80s, like we just heard, it was hearsay, everything, it's like whatever the news showed us is what we would see. And it's very filtered. Like, whereas
That's
now
true.
everything is like, you can go to any site, people can say what they feel or whatever. And it's like all in front of us. And it's like, what are we going to do about it? As opposed to before, it's like everybody had this excuse of like, well, oh, well, they said this and I heard this and I heard that. And it's like, if it's right in front of you, it's kind of hard to like not see it, and that's when people see stuff too. It's like, say something, do something. It's crazy.
I'm excited for you because I think because it's tragic. A lot of stuff's happening around, like with the COVID-19, COVID, and everything that's happening with the well, it's always been happening, but now people
Yeah.
realize it's happening. More so about being persecution, about being black with the cops and everything. Like it's horrible.
Yeah.
But what you call it? I think you as in a way you're like a journalist. You
Yeah,
know,
kind of. Somebody else said that too. I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
so this is an exciting time for you because you have um, relevant material to work with that actually matters and it means something. And so it could be an exciting time for you to do something that's worthwhile that you can sort of lend your energy into. And
Yeah.
and and before you would have to go on to college for this and to get a degree
Yeah.
and news anchor or something, become a new anchor. And even then, you couldn't tell the story you wanted to tell. You had to tell the story that your editor
What
or
they want.
producer what they want.
Yeah.
Uh,
Exactly.
and so I think it's an exciting time for you to be able to kind of just straight from the heart go for what really matters and have no limitations. Only time there's limitations is if social media uh, like stops the post or something like that. But you're very eloquent and
Thank you.
responsible, and you're welcome, and you have a good heart. I can't imagine that happened to you. So I think you have a lot. The sky's the limit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hope so. I really want to get. It seemed like a bunch of people coming in now at the end. Go back and watch the other ones, guys. But yeah, it's funny because like the whole concept of the podcast / and it became a live stream because we realized when we were talking and we were going to schedule it was like, you know what, like everybody's home, let's talk about
everybody's home.
Yeah, it was like let's help people understand what we go through, like as people with disabilities, like having to not have the opportunity to be able to go out and socialize more in the like real world. We're more like we can connect with people more through this, and it was like a time where everybody could relate more to what we go through. And it was the timing of everything, like you're saying, yeah, like it just kind of fell everything now. And I'm like, okay, here, it's kind of like something telling me like, okay, Emily, you wanted to help people like this, like you came up with this idea, here, boom, like here's all this stuff, like what are you going to do with it? And I'm like, okay, like let me do what I can. And then this situation came up with Black Lives Matter and all this, and I was so like nervous and worried and thinking about like everybody's thoughts and kind of spiraling. And then I just turned to you and I'm like, okay, like what do I do? Like how do we do this? And you're like, don't worry about it, like do it. And you're so right.
Well, it's like look at it this way, like just like I was saying earlier, like since most African Americans only take like a small percentage of the population, it's no way. I mean, we can do a lot. Don't get me wrong, but but to do only everything by ourselves would be limited in thinking. So I think how I see it is that yourself being white and being female, you you're trying to find a way to still help and connect, and like you say, you can always just share your experiences and relate in that way, but you can create a platform like you're doing with me today. I mean, this is amazing what you're doing with me today. You're giving me a chance to express myself, creating this miniseries and stuff like that. I think you're creating something that's beautiful, and a lot of people that have had some of my experiences wish they had that chance. So the more you do it, and hopefully the more others do it too. So it definitely opening windows of opportunity. So I think that's something to be proud of,
Yeah, I want to get people talking more. And before everything with COVID, it's like I wanted to get people to have a voice and like for everything, every obstacle, like the whole concept. And then yeah, like I'm hoping that this will start to, grow and people can hear, what you're saying and this mini series and then other guests too. Like I know there are people that I have to schedule, but I wanted to continue this mini series because we started it and I wanted to get it rolling and then this happened and everything it kind of fell into place in a way for us, like with what we wanted to do. And this issue's been going on, as we said earlier, like for
Right.
a long time, centuries. So it's like this isn't anything new. It's just more in the everybody's face in a lot of social medias bring it to attention. And I didn't say before too, I think a lot of it also is everybody's fed up with everything going on. It's like, I mean, we could go on for a long time about everything, but I guess like in closing, like anything you wanted to say or anything. I know a lot of people are joining us now, but we posted earlier.
Well, now that they're joining us now, that some of these people in the comments, in terms of topics for the next podcast, definitely write in names of titles of topics you'd like us to talk about.
Yeah.
Also, and also if you have links and for this particular podcast, that what pertains to this podcast, if you have links of references to some of the topics we're talking about, if you want to put them in the comments,
that's a good idea.
To help exchange knowledge, and that'd be really cool too. But also just voice your opinions. Like even if you haven't been affected by it directly, just your thoughts about the fact that this is a reality. If you're surprised at this reality, like what was your first sort of epiphany moment? Like, oh my God, this is real. Like, what were you doing when this happened? Were you having breakfast? Were you when you found out the story about the tragedy of George Floyd? What were you doing at that time, and what were you thinking?
That's a really good thing too. Yeah, people, that would be awesome. Yeah, people tell us where you were when you heard about this or you realized, like me, like I said, how I heard about it, but it kind of had this epiphany when I watched your video, and I was like, oh my God, like what am I doing? So that and
that's the thing too. Once I get more people, I'm trying to get as many influencers, and not just influencers, anybody that wants to make a video that had similar experience about being like persecuted for being black or for being different by the cops or by anyone in a position of authority. Before I go, I don't even know if I'm supposed to say his name, but a friend of mine voiced his story, and he told me, I asked him to make a story, but I want to say his name out of respect.
Yeah.
But he was at a gas station. A guy, he was trying to use a payphone. For just trying to use the payphone, the guy ran at him with a crowbar.
What?
And threatened to kill him. And this was in Houston.
Oh my God.
So luckily another friend was with him, and they quickly got him out of there. But he was like, man, and he's not of a tall stature. He's like basically a shorter man. And he models, very aesthetic. He's not physically imposing. He's normally a welcoming type of image to most people.
Right.
So the only thing that really looks different is the skin tone.
Wow.
And the guy was like calling him like the worst names ever, of course, if you can imagine.
Jesus.
And that was sad. So just like I feel bad because I never. He told me like countless stories like stuff like this, right? This one person said that, right? And he didn't say that until I made my video. So this is people I've known for years, and we don't even know that we know the same things or sharing the same experiences. So it's like it's being severed. So there's like a ripple effect from this whole thing happening, and it's horrible. But the one good thing is happening is that people finally start talking about this.
Yeah.
And so maybe something can come out of this that's positive,
Yeah, I'm just hoping it doesn't fizzle out. How stuff does. Like
that's the main thing.
That's what I'm worried about. Yeah.
Don't make this like a trend, right? The trend topic for the 1 month, right?
That's what I was like afraid of. Remember, I was like, I don't know if I should even say anything. People are gonna think I'm trying to do this for views. It's like, no, like I'm not. Like the whole concept of what I'm doing is to help give people a voice. Like, so.
And it's so important that we have to talk about it.
Yeah, I like the video thing too, like to share your stories and stuff. And that I know what I thought of when you said about your friend. It's like one of your friends had so many experiences with this. Times that by like how many people? It's like that's that's like a really good point, because it's like one person doesn't have one experience with this. Like people have this experience, Black people have this experience every day. Every day. Like I thought about it, like 24/7. Imagine living your life 24/7 in the back of your head, especially when this stuff comes up in the news, that you are constantly have that in the back of your mind of like, wow, I could go to a payphone, I could go to my door and have somebody, kill me or attack me or something for me just being me.
I've had people that I know that that aren't Black, that of European descent, and they're like, oh yeah, I've gotten upset about a cop one time and yelled in his face or something. I was like, man, that's like, I can never do that.
Right. Yeah.
I can never do that.
Yeah.
No way I can. Right? I would be like, I mean, we're taught this. Before I go, I guess it's people, growing up, I was taught as a little kid. As soon as I could start talking and remembering anything, we're taught not to go against the cops, do what they say. Don't look them in the eye unless they ask you to. Like horrible stuff, like don't, like say yes sir to them. Be super polite as possible, and if you mess up this hair, you could get killed. As a child, as a baby,
as a kid, I couldn't even imagine.
We had to be taught that,
Yeah, like I was taught, like, be polite to police officers, keep your hands where you can see them and stuff, but it wasn't at all like the same reason. It was just kind of like, just try to be courteous and stuff, not start a problem and all that. And I was like, okay, but I didn't think because like they're gonna kill me. They didn't. My parents didn't tell me that. Like, because they might kill you. It's like, it's a
I said something. It's a different world. I said something. I'm trying to remember who I said it to, but it was like, maybe the more we talk about this, the more you can, it's like, it's scary. It's like it's literally a nightmare. But basically, the more we talk about this, the more we maybe can free ourselves from this nightmare. Is what I said. Because like this nightmare, it happens. It happens all the time, and this is our version of reality. Reality, it depends on the person having it. There's no true reality. There's things that happen in life, and that is true. There's events that happen when you're not around. That is true. But how reality is perceived depends on the person having it. So the only way for other people to understand that is to put the best that we can to put you into our shoes. And the only way we can do that is by telling you that. Unless there was like, I'm hoping someone does this. Maybe someone has done that, to where they put like a body cam on them, someone that's Black or something puts a body cam on themselves, and then have like a day in the life or something. You can see it. That would be really crazy, man.
That would be cool. I think somebody's done that with other stuff, but yeah.
I think it's some other stuff, but someone needs to do that. I saw you. Everyone's popping up in here now. At the end, we're leaving now, guys.
I know. Like, where were we before?
Well, watch, if those are just now showing up, still thank you for showing up. Go back and watch everything. There's 2 videos. There's this one, and there's the one before that's also posted in this page and on my page and on your page. There's 2 videos.
Yeah.
This is the second one. So
I'll put a reminder that it's like there's 2 and try to link them so like people see. Yeah. But as you're saying, post any comments and stuff. I'll check it. Tarik will check it. Tarik, I always say your name wrong. I'm so sorry. Like my
maybe accent. Maybe it's the northern thing. How do people say Houston in New York?
Houston.
Did you say Houston?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then there's Houston.
Oh, Houston.
Houston. Yeah.
You say Houston.
There's Houston, Houston, but there's a street in New York City called Houston. People's Houston. Like they never know what it is, but it's spelled Hausten. So I don't know, but I say water. I say God. So, like my friends will like
that's awesome.
Yeah, like on the West Coast, they'll be like, "What did you say?" And I'm like, "Oh, I need to go get a glass of water," and then I forget, and I'm like, "Oh, water." Like when I'm thinking about it, I'll say it, but I just feel bad when I like pronounce your name wrong when I'm like talking fast. I go Tarik.
That's okay.
But it's Tarik if anybody's watching.
It's not even. It's actually I say Tarik. That's not even that. It's Tarik.
Oh right.
Accent's so heavy. I just say Tarik because it's like, my life's complicated as it is. I have like blonde locks, like a strange name to most people. I'm like I try to keep it simple as possible.
Like, try to simplify it all. Gosh, yeah. I know we didn't get into all other stuff too, but I mean, we can even do another video like this too. You know, what everybody asks. Well, I mean, we always have a discussion, figure things out, and if it's a few weeks, whatever, we'll try to do it sooner. But again, we got to balance, guys, like our 2 lives and
I
our
think
stuff.
well, now I think we also have this format's much better than the first one.
Oh yeah,
and thank you, Emily, for persevering and working with me on this. You know, we figured this out. You know.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. We found StreamYard is working pretty well. You know, in terms of interfaces.
Oh yeah.
This looks good.
It looks really good. And then the only thing was that when I was linked to all 3 or 4, it got all messed up.
Oh yeah, that's probably too many. There's got to be a way to work around it because that would have been cool. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know how we could do that though. But...
Yeah. Joe wrote, go get a glass of water. I'm like, okay.
I'm gonna find the name of that movie and put in the links, and everybody keep looking in the comments for links and stuff.
Yeah, please, definitely. Alrighty, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it, and thank you for everybody watching and watching in the future.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. See you later.
Bye.